You know what's incredible? Right now, in this very moment, you have the power to decide that you will never again allow anger to control your life. Not tomorrow, not after you read another book, not after you attend another seminar. Right now. And I want to talk to you about something that changed my life completely, and I know it will change yours too if you really hear what I'm saying to you today. Anger is a choice. Let me say that again because this might be the most important thing you hear today. Anger is a choice. You choose it. Every single time you get angry at someone, you are making a choice. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but you don't understand. You don't know what they did to me. You don't know how they treated me. You don't know what they said. And you're right. I don't know. But what I do know is this. No one can make you angry without your permission. No one. Think about that for a moment. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when someone says something unkind to you, when someone doesn't meet your expectations, what's really happening? They're just being themselves. They're doing what they do. They're living their life according to their level of consciousness, their conditioning, their understanding of the world, and you're getting angry because you've decided that they should be different. You've decided that they should behave according to your rules, your expectations, your way of seeing things. But here's the truth that will set you free. You cannot control other people. You cannot control what they say. You cannot control what they do. You cannot control how they think. The only thing you can control is your response to what they say and do. That's it. That's all you've got. And when you really understand this, when you really get this at a cellular level, your entire life transforms. You see, when you get angry at someone, you're saying to yourself and to the universe, this person has power over me. This person can determine my emotional state. This person can take away my peace. And that's simply not true unless you give them that power. You are giving away your power every time you allow someone else's behavior to determine how you feel. Let me tell you something about anger that most people don't understand. Anger is always about you. It's never about the other person. Never. When you feel angry, you are experiencing a disturbance within yourself. You are experiencing a gap between what you think should be happening and what is actually happening. And that gap, that's where the anger lives. In that space between your expectations and reality. So what do? How do you stop being angry? How do you reach that place where nothing and no one can disturb your inner peace? It starts with understanding that you are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are the observer of your thoughts and emotions. You are the one who watches the thoughts come and go. You are the one who notices the emotions rise and fall. And when you identify with that observer, with that witness consciousness, suddenly you have space, you have room, you have the ability to choose. When someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, you can now pause. You can observe the anger trying to arise. You can watch it like you're watching a movie. And then you can ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this anger helping me in any way? Is it making me healthier? Is it making me happier? Is it solving the problem? And the answer is always no. Anger never solves anything. It only creates more problems. It damages your relationships. It damages your health. It damages your peace of mind. Now, I want you to understand something crucial. When I say anger is a choice, I'm not saying you should suppress your feelings. I'm not saying you should pretend everything is fine when it's not. I'm not saying you should be a doormat and let people walk all over you. That's not what I'm talking about at all. What I'm talking about is responding to life from a place of centeredness rather than reacting from a place of disturbance. There's a huge difference between responding and reacting. When you react, you're not thinking. You're just being triggered. Something happens and boom, you're angry. It's automatic. It's unconscious. It's like a button that gets pushed and you have no control. But when you respond, you're conscious. You're aware. You're choosing. You're saying, okay, this situation is happening. How do I want to handle this? What response will serve the highest good here? And here's something beautiful that happens when you stop being angry at people. You start to see them differently. You start to see that everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have. That person who cut you off in traffic, they might be rushing to the hospital. They might have just received terrible news. Or maybe they're just having a bad day. Or maybe they're just not very conscious yet. But whatever it is, it's not personal. It's not about you. This is so important. Nothing other people do is because of you. It's because of them. When someone is rude to you, it's because they're in pain. When someone betrays you, it's because they're disconnected from their higher self. When someone criticizes you, it's because they're critical of themselves. People who are at peace don't hurt other people. People who are happy don't try to make others unhappy. So when someone does something hurtful, instead of getting angry, you can feel compassion. You can understand that they're suffering. Now, does this mean you have to keep toxic people in your life? Absolutely not. You can remove yourself from unhealthy situations without anger. You can set boundaries without hostility. You can say no without resentment. You can walk away from people who are not good for you while still wishing them well. That's the key. You can make powerful decisions about who you allow in your life without carrying anger in your heart. Let me share something with you about the physiology of anger. When you get angry, your body goes into stress mode, your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, stress hormones flood your system, your immune system is suppressed. And all of this happens not because of what the other person did, but because of your reaction to what they did. You are literally poisoning yourself with your own anger. And the person you're angry at, they're probably not even thinking about you. They've moved on. They're living their life. And you're sitting there stewing in your anger, hurting yourself. So who's really being hurt by your anger? You are. Always. Every single time. Anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't work that way. You're the one who suffers. You're the one who can't sleep at night. You're the one replaying the situation over and over in your mind. You're the one whose health is being compromised. And for what? Because someone didn't behave the way you wanted them to? Here's another powerful realization. When you're angry at someone, you're tied to them. You're connected to them. You're giving them space in your mind, rent-free. They're living in your head, occupying your thoughts, stealing your peace. And the moment you let go of that anger, you cut that cord. You free yourself. You take back your power. You reclaim your peace. Forgiveness is the key, not for them, but for you. Forgiveness doesn't mean what they did was okay. It doesn't mean you have to trust them again. It doesn't mean you have to have them in your life. Forgiveness simply means you're no longer willing to carry the burden of anger and resentment. You're choosing your peace over your need to be right. You're choosing your freedom over your desire for revenge. And when you forgive, something miraculous happens. You feel lighter. You feel freer. It's like you've been carrying a heavy backpack full of rocks, and suddenly you just take it off and set it down. The relief is immediate. The peace is palpable. And you realize that you could have done this at any time. You didn't need the other person to apologize. You didn't need them to change. You didn't need anything from them at all. You just needed to make a different choice. Now, let's talk about expectations, because this is where so much anger comes from. You have an idea of how people should be, how they should treat you, how they should behave. And when they don't meet those expectations, you get angry. But who says your expectations are right? Who made you the arbiter of how everyone should behave? You have your rules, your standards, your beliefs about how things should be, and you're imposing them on everyone else. And then you're getting upset when people don't follow your rules. But here's the thing, everyone has their own rules. Everyone has their own way of seeing the world. Everyone has their own level of awareness. And they're all equally valid. Your way is not the only way. Your truth is not the only truth. When you can accept this, when you can allow people to be who they are without needing them to be who you want them to be, you become free. This doesn't mean you don't have standards. This doesn't mean you accept bad behavior. What it means is that you stop expecting people to be different than they are. You see them clearly. You accept the reality of who they are, and then you make conscious choices about how you want to interact with them based on that reality, not based on who you wish they were. There's tremendous freedom in accepting people as they are. It doesn't mean you like everything they do. It doesn't mean you agree with their choices. It simply means you acknowledge reality. You stop fighting what is. You stop resisting. And in that acceptance, you find peace. Let me tell you about the energy of anger. When you're angry, you're vibrating at a very low frequency. You're in a state of resistance. You're in a state of separation. And from that place, you cannot access your higher wisdom. You cannot see solutions. You cannot feel love. You cannot experience joy. Anger blocks all of that. It puts you in a prison of your own making. But when you let go of anger, when you choose peace, your energy shifts. You start vibrating at a higher frequency. You become aligned with your true nature, which is love. And from that place, everything changes. Your relationships improve, your health improves, your creativity flows, opportunities appear. Life becomes easier, not because circumstances have changed, but because you have changed. You see, the world you experience is a reflection of your inner state. When you're angry, you see an angry world. You see threats everywhere. You see people as adversaries. You're defensive. You're guarded. You're ready for battle. But when you're at peace, you see a peaceful world. You see beauty. You see kindness. You see opportunities for connection. You're open. You're trusting. You're relaxed. So which world do you want to live in? Because you get to choose. Every moment of every day, you get to choose. Are you going to react with anger, or are you going to respond with peace? Are you going to see this person as an enemy, or are you going to see them as a fellow human being who is struggling just like everyone else? Here's something I want you to try. The next time someone does something that would normally make you angry, take a breath, just breathe, and then ask yourself, what if this person is a teacher? What if this situation is here to help me grow? What if this is an opportunity to practice peace? Because that's what it is. Every challenging person, every difficult situation is an opportunity for you to strengthen your peace muscle. It's a chance for you to prove to yourself that you don't have to be controlled by external circumstances. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's like building any other skill. At first, it's hard. You'll slip up, you'll get angry, and that's okay. Don't judge yourself, don't beat yourself up. Just notice it. Oh, I got angry. Interesting. What triggered that? And then choose again. Choose peace. Choose understanding. Choose love. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself when you feel anger arising is this: do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Because often, anger is about wanting to be right. Someone did something wrong, and you want them to know it. You want them to admit it. You want them to apologize. You want justice. But at what cost? At the cost of your peace? At the cost of your happiness? Is it worth it? Most of the time, being right is not worth sacrificing your happiness. Most of the time, your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Most of the time, letting it go is the strongest thing you can do. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong enough to choose what really matters. And what really matters? Your inner state, your peace, your joy, your ability to love. These are the things that matter. These are the things that make life worth living. Not being right, not winning arguments, not getting revenge, not holding grudges. Those things only make you miserable. Let's talk about judgment, because judgment and anger go hand in hand. When you judge someone as wrong, as bad, as stupid, as selfish, you create the conditions for anger. You set yourself up as superior, and you put them down as inferior. And from that place of judgment, anger is inevitable. But what if you stopped judging? What if you simply observed? What if you said, this person is behaving this way. This is what's happening. How do I want to respond? No judgment, no labels, just what is. When you do this, anger loses its grip on you. Because anger needs judgment to survive. It needs the story that someone is wrong and you are right. The truth is, everyone is doing the best they can with the consciousness they have in that moment. Even the person who hurt you. Even the person who betrayed you. Even the person who disappointed you. They were doing the best they could. Now, their best might not be good enough for you. Their best might have caused you pain, but it was still their best in that moment with their level of awareness. Understanding this doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior. It doesn't mean you don't protect yourself. It doesn't mean you don't have consequences. What it means is that you don't carry anger. You don't make yourself sick with resentment. You handle what needs to be handled, and then you move on. You let it go. Letting go is not forgetting. Letting go is not pretending it didn't happen. Letting go is simply releasing your emotional attachment to it. It's saying, this happened. I acknowledge it. I learned from it. And now I'm choosing to move forward without carrying this weight. Here's a powerful practice. When someone does something that triggers you, instead of immediately reacting, say to yourself, this is not an emergency. I have time to choose my response. Because most of the time, our anger is based on the false belief that we must react immediately. But you don't. You can pause, you can breathe, you can think, and from that pause, from that space, you can choose a response that serves you. Another thing to understand about anger is that it often comes from pain. When someone hurts you, your first instinct might be to lash out in anger. But underneath that anger is hurt. There's pain, there's disappointment, there's sadness. And instead of feeling those vulnerable emotions, we cover them up with anger because anger feels more powerful. Anger feels like protection. But it's not, it's just a mask. What if, instead of getting angry, you allowed yourself to feel the hurt? What if you acknowledged the pain? What if you were honest about your disappointment? This is vulnerability, and it's much more powerful than anger. When you can say, what you did hurt me, instead of, I'm so angry at you, you're being authentic. You're being real. And from that place of authenticity, real communication can happen. Real healing can happen. But when you come from anger, defenses go up, walls go up, nothing gets resolved. The other person gets defensive and you get more angry and it just escalates. But when you come from a place of honest vulnerability, people can actually hear you, they can actually understand. And even if they don't, even if they're not capable of that, you've honored yourself. You've been true to yourself. And that's what matters most. Now, I want to address something important. Some people use anger as fuel. They think it motivates them. They think it gives them energy. They think it helps them stand up for themselves. And while anger can provide a temporary surge of energy, it's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And it always comes at a cost. You can be motivated by love instead of anger. You can stand up for yourself from a place of self-respect instead of rage. You can create change from a place of vision instead of vengeance. And when you do, your actions are more effective. Your energy is cleaner. Your impact is greater. Think about the great leaders throughout history, the ones who created lasting change, the ones who really transformed the world. They didn't do it through anger. They did it through love. They did it through vision. They did it through a commitment to something greater than themselves. Yes, they felt angry about injustice, but they didn't act from anger. They acted from love. They acted from a vision of a better world. You can do the same in your own life. You can want things to be better without being angry about how they are. You can work for change without carrying resentment. You can hold people accountable without hating them. These things are not only possible, they're more effective. Let me share something about the present moment. Anger almost always lives in the past or the future. You're angry about something that already happened, or you're angry about something you're afraid will happen. But in this present moment, right now, are you okay? Right now, in this exact second, is there a problem? Usually not. Usually, in the present moment, you're fine. You're breathing, you're alive, you're okay. So when you feel anger rising, come back to now. Come back to this moment. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Look around you. Be here now. And notice how, in this moment, there's nothing to be angry about. The anger is about something that's not happening right now. And if you can stay in the present moment, anger has no power over you. This is why meditation is so powerful. It trains you to be present. It trains you to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. It creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you find freedom, you find choice, you find peace. But you don't have to sit on a cushion to be present. You can be present right now. You can be present while you're driving, while you're working, while you're talking to someone. You can bring your attention to this moment again and again. And each time you do, you're strengthening your ability to choose peace over anger. Here's another insight. Your anger often has nothing to do with the person you're directing it at. You might be angry at your spouse, but really you're angry at yourself. You might be angry at your boss, but really you're angry at your own choices. You might be angry at the world, but really you're angry about your own unfulfilled potential. This is called projection. You take what you don't want to face in yourself and you project it onto others. You make them the problem so you don't have to look at your own stuff. But this never works. It never brings relief. It never brings resolution. The only way to heal is to look inward, to take responsibility, to ask yourself, what is this anger really about? What is this showing me about myself? When you start asking these questions, when you start looking within, you stop blaming. You stop being a victim. You stop giving your power away. You realize that you are the creator of your experience, not because you control what happens to you, but because you control how you respond to what happens to you. And this is the ultimate freedom. This is the key to never being angry again. Understanding that you are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of other people. You are not at the mercy of your past. You are a powerful creator, and you get to choose in every moment how you want to show up. So what if you chose to show up with love? What if you chose to show up with compassion? What if you chose to show up with understanding? What if, instead of asking, why is this happening to me, you asked, what can I learn from this? What if, instead of seeing enemies, you saw teachers? What if, instead of seeing problems, you saw opportunities? This is not naive positivity. This is not pretending bad things don't happen. This is not toxic optimism. This is a conscious choice to interpret your experiences in a way that empowers you rather than victimizes you. It's a choice to see life as happening for you, not to you. When someone treats you badly, life is giving you an opportunity to practice unconditional love. When someone disappoints you, life is giving you an opportunity to release expectations. When someone angers you, life is giving you an opportunity to choose peace. Every difficult person, every challenging situation is a gift. It's a chance to grow. It's a chance to evolve. It's a chance to become more of who you really are. And who are you really? You are not your anger. You are not your resentment. You are not your hurt. You are the infinite loving awareness that is witnessing all of this. You are the consciousness that is aware of the anger, aware of the hurt, aware of the thoughts, and that consciousness is always at peace. It's always whole. It's always complete. When you identify with that awareness instead of with your temporary emotions, everything shifts. You realize you can feel angry without being angry. You can observe the emotion without becoming the emotion. You can watch it rise, watch it peak, watch it fall, all while remaining centered in your true self. This is mastery. This is freedom. This is what it means to never be angry at anyone again. Not because nothing ever bothers you, but because you're no longer controlled by what bothers you. You're no longer imprisoned by your reactions. You're free. And from that freedom, you can love. You can really love. Not the conditional love that says, I'll love you if you behave the way I want, but the unconditional love that says, I love you even when you don't. Not because you're perfect, but because love is your nature. Not because people deserve it, but because you deserve to be a loving person. This kind of love transforms everything. It transforms your relationships. It transforms your health. It transforms your entire experience of life, because when you're loving, you're happy. When you're angry, you're miserable. It's that simple. So I'm inviting you today to make a decision. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're done giving your power away. Decide that you're done poisoning yourself with resentment. Decide that from this moment forward, you're choosing peace, you're choosing love, you're choosing freedom. And when someone does something that in the past would have made you angry, remember this: they are not your enemy, they are your teacher. This is not a problem, this is an opportunity. You are not a victim, you are a powerful creator, and you get to choose. Choose peace, choose understanding, choose compassion, choose love. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Not because you're weak, but because you're strong. Not because you're naive, but because you're wise. This is the path. This is the way. This is how you never be angry at anyone again, not by suppressing your emotions, but by transforming them. Not by pretending everything is fine, but by actually being fine regardless of circumstances. Not by controlling others, but by mastering yourself. You have this power. You've always had this power. You just forgot. But now you remember, now you know, and now you can choose. Every moment of every day, you can choose. And when you choose peace often enough, it becomes your default. It becomes who you are. It becomes your natural state. And from that place of peace, you can do anything. You can create anything. You can be anything. Because you're no longer wasting your energy on anger. You're no longer carrying the burden of resentment. You're free. You're light. You're alive. This is your birthright. This is your true nature. This is who you really are beneath all the conditioning, beneath all the hurt, beneath all the stories. You are peace. You are love. You are joy. And nothing anyone does can take that away from you unless you let them. So don't let them. Reclaim your power. Reclaim your peace. Reclaim your life. Starting right now. Starting with the very next person who does something that would normally make you angry. See them with new eyes. See them with compassion. See them as a fellow human being on their own journey. And choose to respond with love. This is how you change the world. Not by trying to change everyone else, but by changing yourself. Not by making everyone behave the way you want them to, but by being at peace regardless of how they behave. Not by controlling circumstances, but by controlling your response to circumstances. You are more powerful than you know. You are more free than you realize. You are more capable of love than you can possibly understand. And it all starts with this decision, to never again allow anger to steal your peace, to never again give your power away to someone else's behavior, to never again be a prisoner of your own reactivity. You are free. You've always been free. You just had to remember, and now you have. So go forth. Live from this place of freedom. Love from this place of peace. Be the person you were always meant to be. The person who is no longer controlled by anger, the person who responds to everything with love, the person who is truly free. This is possible for you. Not someday, not eventually, right now, in this moment. Make the choice, make the commitment, and watch your entire life transform. Because when you're no longer angry, you're available for joy. When you're no longer resentful, you're available for love. When you're no longer bitter, you're available for peace. And that's what life is really about. Not being right, not winning, not getting revenge, but being at peace, being in love, being in joy. That's success. That's happiness. That's freedom. Choose it, claim it, live it. Starting now. There's something else I want you to consider. Every time you hold on to anger, you're actually creating a story. You're creating a narrative about what happened, about who was wrong, about who was right, about how you were victimized. And you tell yourself this story over and over again. You rehearse it, you perfect it, you add details. And the more you tell the story, the more real it becomes, the more justified your anger feels. But what if you change the story? What if you told a different story about the same event? Because the event itself is neutral. It's just something that happened. The meaning you give it, that's what creates your emotional response. So if you can change the meaning, you can change the emotion. Let's say someone betrayed your trust. You can tell yourself the story that they're a terrible person, that you were foolish to trust them, that you'll never trust anyone again. And that story will make you angry and bitter. Or you can tell yourself a different story. You can say that this person taught you something valuable about boundaries, that this experience helped you become more discerning, that this was a necessary part of your growth. Same event, different story, different emotion. This is the power you have. The power to choose the story you tell yourself about your experiences. And when you exercise this power consciously, you become unstoppable, because nothing can knock you down. Nothing can keep you stuck. Everything becomes useful. Everything becomes a teaching. Think about the energy you spend maintaining your anger. Think about all the mental conversations you have with people who aren't even there, all the arguments you win in your head, all the things you wish you had said. All the ways you replay the situation, trying to make sense of it, trying to justify your position. This is exhausting. This drains your life force. This keeps you stuck in the past. What if you took all that energy and redirected it? What if you used it to create something beautiful? What if you used it to love someone? What if you used it to pursue your dreams? Think about how much energy would be available to you if you weren't spending it on anger and resentment. Think about what you could accomplish. Think about who you could become. Your life is happening right now, not in the past, not in the future, right now. And every moment you spend angry about something that already happened is a moment you're not fully alive. It's a moment you're missing. It's a moment you can never get back. Is that how you want to spend your precious life? Rehashing old grievances, nursing old wounds, staying mad at people who have moved on? You deserve better than that. You deserve to be fully present for your life. You deserve to experience joy. You deserve to feel peace. And the only thing standing between you and that peace is your decision to hold on to anger. That's it. It's just a decision. And you can make a different decision right now. Let me tell you about the ripple effect of your anger. When you're angry, it doesn't just affect you. It affects everyone around you. Your spouse feels it. Your children feel it. Your coworkers feel it. Even strangers feel it. Because energy is contagious. Your state affects other people's states. When you're angry, you spread that anger. You contaminate the space around you. But the beautiful thing is, peace is also contagious. When you're at peace, you spread that peace. When you're loving, you spread that love. When you're joyful, you spread that joy. So by choosing peace for yourself, you're not just helping yourself, you're helping everyone you come into contact with. You're making the world a little bit better. You're being the change. And isn't that what we all really want? To make a positive difference? To leave things better than we found them? You can't do that from a place of anger. You can only do that from a place of love. So every time you choose peace over anger, you're not just choosing for yourself, you're choosing for everyone. Here's something profound. The people who trigger your anger the most are often your greatest spiritual teachers. They're showing you where you're not free. They're showing you where you still have attachments. They're showing you where you still need to grow. Instead of cursing them, thank them. They're doing you a service. They're holding up a mirror and showing you parts of yourself that need healing. When you can get to the place where you actually feel grateful for the difficult people in your life, you know you've made it. You know you're free because you understand that they're not your problem, they're your opportunity. They're not your curse, they're your blessing in disguise. Now, some of you might be thinking, but what about righteous anger? What about getting angry about injustice? Shouldn't I be angry about wrong things happening in the world? And I understand that question, but here's what I know. You can care about injustice without being angry. You can work to change things without carrying rage. You can stand up for what's right without being consumed by what's wrong. In fact, you're more effective when you come from a place of love rather than anger, because anger clouds your judgment. It makes you reactive. It makes you do things you later regret. But when you come from a place of centered peace, you're clear, you're strategic, you're effective. You create lasting change, not just temporary relief for your own emotions. The world needs people who care, who are compassionate, who want to make things better. But it doesn't need more anger. There's already plenty of that. What the world needs is people who can remain at peace while working for change. People who can love even those they disagree with. People who can see the humanity in everyone, even those who are causing harm. This doesn't mean you're passive. This doesn't mean you don't take action. This means you take action from a place of wisdom rather than reactivity. You respond to the world's problems with solutions, not just more problems. You add light instead of more darkness. Let's talk about forgiveness one more time, because it's so central to this. When you forgive someone, you're not saying what they did was okay. You're saying you're okay. You're saying you're no longer going to let what they did determine your emotional state. You're taking back your power. You're setting yourself free. And sometimes the person you need to forgive most is yourself. You need to forgive yourself for all the times you reacted in anger, for all the times you said things you didn't mean, for all the times you hurt people because you were hurt, for all the times you weren't your best self. Forgive yourself. You were doing the best you could with the awareness you had, and now you have more awareness. Now you can do better. Self-forgiveness is liberation. It allows you to move forward without the weight of guilt and shame. It allows you to learn from your mistakes without being defined by them. It allows you to be human without being harsh with yourself. And when you can forgive yourself, it becomes so much easier to forgive others. Here's a practice that can change everything. Before you go to sleep each night, think about your day. Think about any moments where you felt angry or upset. And then in your mind, replay those moments differently. See yourself responding with peace instead of anger. See yourself choosing love instead of resentment. See yourself being the person you want to be. This does two things. First, it rewires your brain. It creates new neural pathways. It teaches your mind that there are other ways to respond. Second, it releases the charge from those events. It completes them. It allows you to go to sleep in peace instead of carrying the stress into your dreams. And then, when similar situations arise in the future, you'll find yourself automatically responding differently because you've already practiced it. You've already seen yourself doing it. You've already experienced what it feels like to choose peace. And what you practice in your mind becomes easier to do in reality. Your mind is incredibly powerful. It doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's vividly imagined. So use that to your advantage. Practice being peaceful. Practice being loving. Practice being free from anger. And watch as your actual life starts to reflect your practice. There's also something important about the language you use, both with yourself and with others. When someone does something you don't like, instead of saying, "You made me angry," try saying, "I feel angry." Do you see the difference? One makes them responsible for your emotion. The other acknowledges that you're responsible for your emotion. This small shift in language creates a huge shift in consciousness, or even better, go deeper. Instead of "I feel angry," ask yourself, what am I really feeling? What's underneath this anger? Because anger is usually a secondary emotion. Underneath it, there's often hurt, fear, disappointment, or sadness. When you can identify and express the real emotion, you connect with people on a much more authentic level. And when you take responsibility for your emotions through your language, something interesting happens. Other people stop being so defensive. They can actually hear you. They can actually respond to what you're really saying, and real communication becomes possible. Remember, every interaction you have is an opportunity to practice. Every person you meet is a chance to choose love over fear. Every challenge is an invitation to respond from your highest self. You don't have to wait for the perfect conditions. You don't have to wait until everyone treats you right. You can start right now with the very next person you interact with. And yes, you'll slip up sometimes. You'll get triggered. You'll react instead of respond. That's okay. That's part of being human. The key is not to beat yourself up about it. Just notice it, learn from it, and choose again. Every moment is a new opportunity to choose. Every breath is a chance to start fresh. This journey from anger to peace is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about becoming more conscious. It's about growing. It's about evolving into the highest version of yourself. And that happens one choice at a time, one moment at a time, one breath at a time. You have everything you need within you right now. You don't need to read another book. You don't need to attend another workshop. You don't need anyone's permission. You just need to decide. Decide that you're done with anger. Decide that you're choosing peace. Decide that you're taking back your power. And then live from that decision. The life you want, the peace you seek, the joy you desire, it's all available to you right now. Not when circumstances change, not when people treat you better, not when you finally get what you want, right now. Because peace is not dependent on external conditions. Peace is an inner state that you choose regardless of external conditions. This is the secret. This is what changes everything. Understanding that happiness doesn't come from getting what you want. It comes from wanting what you have. It comes from being at peace with what is. It comes from accepting reality as it is while working to make it better. It comes from loving people as they are while encouraging them to grow. You are standing at a doorway. On one side is the old way of being, where you give your power away to anyone who triggers you, where you stay stuck in anger and resentment, where you blame others for your emotional state. On the other side is freedom, peace, joy, love, power. All you have to do is walk through the doorway. All you have to do is choose. What will you choose? You know, there's something that happens when you begin to see life differently than the people around you. There's a shift that occurs inside of you, and suddenly the world that everyone else accepts as reality starts to look like an illusion. You start to question things. You start to wonder why people live the way they do, why they accept limitations, why they settle for less than what their hearts truly desire. And when this happens, when you begin to see what others don't, you enter into what I call dangerous territory. But it's a beautiful kind of danger. It's the danger of awakening. Most people go through their entire lives asleep. They wake up in the morning, but they're not really awake. They go through the motions. They follow the script that was handed to them by their parents, by society, by their culture, by their religion. They never stop to ask themselves, is this really what I want? Is this really who I am? They just keep moving forward on autopilot, doing what they've always done, thinking what they've always thought, believing what they've always believed. And there's nothing wrong with these people. They're good people. They're kind people. But they're asleep. Then there are those rare individuals who wake up. Something happens to them. Maybe it's a crisis. Maybe it's a moment of clarity. Maybe it's a book they read or a conversation they had. But something shifts inside of them, and they begin to see the world through different eyes. They begin to understand that the limitations they accepted their whole lives aren't real. They begin to realize that the voice in their head telling them they're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough, that voice isn't even their own voice. It's the voice of conditioning. It's the voice of fear. It's the voice of everything they've been taught to believe about themselves. And this is where the danger begins. Because once you see what others don't see, once you understand what others don't understand, you can't go back. You can't unsee it. You can't pretend anymore. You can't play small anymore. You can't live a life that's less than what you know you're capable of. And this puts you at odds with the world around you. This makes you different. This makes you stand out. And standing out, being different, going against the grain, that's dangerous in a world that values conformity above almost everything else. People will tell you you're crazy. They'll tell you you're being unrealistic. They'll tell you to come back down to earth, to be practical, to think about security, to worry about what other people think. They'll tell you that your dreams are too big, that your vision is too grand, that you should settle for what's reasonable. And these people, they're not trying to hurt you. They're not being malicious. They're just trying to keep you safe. They're trying to protect you from disappointment. They're trying to save you from failure. But what they don't realize is that the biggest failure in life isn't trying and falling short. The biggest failure is never trying at all. The biggest failure is living your entire life playing it safe, staying in your comfort zone, never taking risks, never following your heart, never listening to that quiet voice inside of you that knows you're meant for more. When you begin to see what others don't, you start to understand that the universe is not a hostile place. You start to understand that you're not separate from the creative force that brings everything into existence. You start to understand that you have within you the same power that grows a tree from a seed, the same intelligence that keeps planets orbiting around the sun, the same creativity that brings a baby into the world from 2 microscopic cells. This power is in you. This intelligence is in you. This creativity is in you. And once you understand this, once you really get this at the core of your being, everything changes. But here's the thing. Most people don't want to hear this. Most people have been conditioned to believe that they're limited, that they're victims of circumstance, that life happens to them rather than through them. They've been taught to look outside of themselves for validation, for approval, for happiness, for success. They've been taught to believe that their worth is determined by their job title, their bank account, their possessions, their achievements. They've been taught to believe that they need to compete with others, that they need to prove themselves, that they need to earn their place in the world. And then you come along with a different message. You come along saying that your worth is inherent, that you don't need to prove anything to anyone, that you're already whole and complete exactly as you are. You come along saying that you can create your own reality, that your thoughts become things, that your beliefs shape your experience. You come along saying that the obstacles in your life aren't there to stop you but to strengthen you, that the challenges you face aren't punishments but opportunities for growth. And people look at you like you've lost your mind. This is the danger of seeing what others don't. You become a threat to the status quo. You become a reminder to people of everything they've given up on, everything they've compromised, everything they've settled for. Your very existence challenges their worldview. Your happiness, your peace, your fulfillment, it makes them uncomfortable because it forces them to confront the fact that they could have these things too if they were willing to change their thinking, if they were willing to take responsibility for their lives, if they were willing to step out of their comfort zones. But you can't let this stop you. You can't dim your light to make others feel more comfortable. You can't pretend to be less than you are to fit in. You can't go back to sleep once you've awakened. And yes, it's lonely sometimes. Yes, it's difficult sometimes. Yes, there will be moments when you question yourself, when you wonder if maybe everyone else is right and you're the one who's wrong. But in those moments, you have to go back to what you know. You have to return to that inner knowing, that inner wisdom, that inner voice that speaks to you in the quiet moments. That voice, that's your higher self. That's your connection to source. That's the part of you that knows the truth. And the truth is this: you are not here by accident. You are not a cosmic mistake. You are not a random collection of atoms that somehow came together by chance. You are here on purpose, for a purpose. You have something unique to contribute to this world. You have gifts that no one else has. You have a perspective that no one else can offer. You have a light that only you can shine. But to share these gifts, to offer this perspective, to shine this light, you have to be willing to be different. You have to be willing to stand alone sometimes. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to be criticized. You have to be willing to be rejected. Because the alternative is to conform, to fit in, to play small, to live a life that's less than what you know you're capable of. And that, my friend, that's the real danger. Not the danger of seeing what others don't, but the danger of seeing it and then pretending you don't. The danger of knowing the truth and then denying it. The danger of hearing your calling and then ignoring it. You see, when you see what others don't, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to yourself, first and foremost. You have a responsibility to honor your truth, to follow your heart, to live in alignment with your highest self. But you also have a responsibility to the world. Because when you live from this place of authenticity, when you live from this place of truth, when you live from this place of love, you give others permission to do the same. You become a light in the darkness. You become proof that it's possible to live differently. You become a demonstration of what happens when someone chooses to wake up rather than stay asleep. Think about the people who have changed the world. Think about the great teachers, the great leaders, the great artists, the great innovators. What did they all have in common? They saw what others didn't see. They understood what others didn't understand. They believed what others couldn't believe. And they were willing to stand in their truth even when the whole world was against them. They were willing to endure ridicule, rejection, persecution, even death, rather than deny what they knew to be true. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a martyr. I'm not saying you have to suffer. I'm not saying you have to sacrifice your well-being for your beliefs. What I'm saying is that you have to be willing to be uncomfortable sometimes. You have to be willing to be unpopular sometimes. You have to be willing to stand apart from the crowd sometimes. Because that's what it takes to live an authentic life. That's what it takes to fulfill your purpose. That's what it takes to make a real difference in the world. And here's something beautiful that happens when you commit to this path. When you commit to seeing what others don't, when you commit to living your truth regardless of what anyone else thinks, you start to attract like-minded people into your life. You start to find your tribe. You start to meet others who see the world the way you see it, who understand the things you understand, who believe the things you believe, and suddenly you're not so alone anymore. Suddenly you have support. Suddenly you have companionship. Suddenly you have people who get you, who encourage you, who celebrate you. But even more than that, you start to experience a kind of peace that you've never experienced before. You start to experience a kind of joy that isn't dependent on external circumstances. You start to experience a kind of freedom that comes from knowing you're living in alignment with your soul's purpose. And this peace, this joy, this freedom, it's worth everything. It's worth the criticism. It's worth the rejection. It's worth the loneliness. Because nothing, and I mean nothing, is worse than living a lie. Nothing is worse than pretending to be someone you're not. Nothing is worse than dying with your music still in you. Now, let's talk about what it means to see what others don't. It means seeing possibilities where others see limitations. It means seeing opportunities where others see obstacles. It means seeing solutions where others see problems. It means seeing abundance where others see scarcity. It means seeing love where others see fear. It means seeing connection where others see separation. It means seeing purpose where others see randomness. It means seeing divinity where others see only humanity. When you see what others don't, you understand that your thoughts create your reality. You understand that the world you see outside of you is a reflection of the world you carry inside of you. You understand that if you want to change your circumstances, you have to change your consciousness. You understand that you're not a victim of your past, your upbringing, your genetics, your environment. You understand that you have the power to choose, you have the power to decide. You have the power to create. Most people don't understand this. Most people believe they're at the mercy of forces outside their control. They believe they're limited by their circumstances. They believe they're defined by their history. They believe they're trapped in patterns they can't escape. And as long as they believe this, it's true for them. As long as they believe they're powerless, they are powerless. As long as they believe they're victims, they remain victims. As long as they believe they can't change, they don't change. But when you see what others don't, when you understand the creative power of your own consciousness, everything changes. You realize that you can change your life by changing your mind. You realize that you can transform your experience by transforming your beliefs. You realize that you can create the life you want by aligning your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions with your highest vision. This is not positive thinking. This is not naive optimism. This is not pretending everything is fine when it's not. This is something much more profound. This is understanding the nature of reality. This is understanding how the universe works. This is understanding your place in the grand scheme of things. This is understanding that you are not separate from the creative force that animates all of life. You are an expression of it. You are an instrument of it. You are a channel for it. And when you align yourself with this force, when you surrender to this intelligence, when you trust this process, miracles happen, synchronicities occur, doors open, opportunities appear, people show up at exactly the right time with exactly the right information, resources materialize, solutions present themselves, things fall into place in ways you could never have planned or predicted. But here's the catch. You have to believe it before you see it. You have to trust it before you have proof. You have to act on it before you have evidence. This is where most people get stuck. They want guarantees. They want certainty. They want to know exactly how things are going to work out before they take the first step. But that's not how it works. That's not how faith works. That's not how the universe works. The universe responds to your energy. It responds to your vibration. It responds to your beliefs. If you approach life with doubt, with fear, with skepticism, that's what you'll experience. You'll experience more reasons to doubt, more reasons to fear, more reasons to be skeptical. But if you approach life with trust, with confidence, with faith, that's what you'll experience. You'll experience more reasons to trust, more reasons to be confident, more reasons to have faith. This is the law of attraction. This is the principle that like attracts like. This is the understanding that you get what you expect, you attract what you are, you become what you think about most of the time. And when you see what others don't, when you understand this principle, you take full responsibility for your life. You stop blaming, you stop complaining, you stop making excuses, you stop waiting for someone to save you or fix you or complete you. You realize that you are the one you've been waiting for. You are the change you want to see. You are the answer to your own prayers. And this is empowering, this is liberating, this is freeing, but it's also terrifying to most people, because taking responsibility means giving up the luxury of being a victim. It means giving up the comfort of blaming others for your problems. It means giving up the familiar patterns of complaining and suffering and struggling. It means stepping into your power. It means owning your life. It means becoming the creator of your experience rather than the reactor to your circumstances. When you see what others don't, you understand that there are no accidents. Everything happens for a reason. Every person you meet is there to teach you something. Every situation you encounter is there to show you something about yourself. Every challenge you face is there to help you grow into the person you need to become, to live the life you're meant to live. Most people resist this. They fight against their circumstances. They argue with reality. They insist that things should be different than they are. They spend their energy wishing the past had been different or worrying that the future won't be what they want. But when you see what others don't, you accept what is. You embrace what is. You work with what is. You understand that resistance creates suffering and acceptance creates peace. This doesn't mean you don't take action to improve your circumstances. This doesn't mean you passively accept injustice or mistreatment or anything that violates your values. What it means is that you start from a place of acceptance rather than resistance. You start from a place of peace rather than conflict. You start from a place of love rather than fear. And from this place, your actions are much more effective. From this place, you have access to your creativity, your intuition, your wisdom. From this place, you can respond rather than react. From this place, you can create rather than struggle. Let me tell you something about struggle. Struggle is optional. Suffering is optional. Yes, pain is part of life. Yes, challenges are part of the human experience. Yes, there will be losses and disappointments and heartbreaks. But suffering, that's something we add to pain through our thinking. Suffering happens when we resist what is, when we argue with reality, when we insist that things should be different than they are. When you see what others don't, you understand that you can experience pain without suffering. You can go through difficult times without falling apart. You can face challenges without losing your peace. You can encounter setbacks without losing your faith. Because you understand that nothing that happens to you can diminish who you are. You understand that you are not your circumstances. You understand that you are not your problems. You understand that you are the awareness, the consciousness, the presence that witnesses all of these things but is not defined by them. This is a profound shift in identity. Most people identify with their roles, their achievements, their possessions, their relationships, their bodies, their thoughts, their emotions. They think this is who they are. And when any of these things change or disappear, they experience a crisis of identity, they lose themselves. They don't know who they are anymore. But when you see what others don't, you understand that you are not any of these things. You are the one who is aware of these things. You are the consciousness in which all of these experiences appear and disappear. You are the presence that remains constant while everything else changes. And when you identify with this awareness, with this consciousness, with this presence, nothing can shake you. Nothing can diminish you. Nothing can defeat you. You become like a mountain. The weather changes. Storms come and go. Seasons change. But the mountain remains. It doesn't resist the storm. It doesn't argue with winter. It doesn't try to hold on to summer. It simply is. It remains present. It remains solid. It remains itself through all conditions. This is what's available to you when you see what others don't. This is the peace that surpasses understanding. This is the joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. This is the love that flows through you when you're not blocking it with fear and judgment and resistance. But to access this, you have to be willing to let go. You have to be willing to surrender. You have to be willing to release your grip on how you think things should be and allow them to be as they are. You have to be willing to trust that the universe knows what it's doing, that there's an intelligence at work that's far greater than your limited human understanding. Most people can't do this. Most people need to feel in control. They need to manage every detail. They need to anticipate every problem. They need to protect themselves from every possible disappointment. They live in a constant state of anxiety, always worried about what might go wrong, always trying to prevent bad things from happening, always preparing for the worst. But when you see what others don't, you understand that this approach to life is exhausting and ultimately futile. You can't control everything. You can't predict everything. You can't prevent all pain and disappointment. Life is uncertain. Life is unpredictable. Life is mysterious. And that's not something to fear. That's something to appreciate. Because it's in the uncertainty that possibility exists. It's in the unpredictability that miracles can happen. It's in the mystery that magic occurs. When you try to control everything, you close yourself off from the infinite possibilities that are available to you. You limit yourself to what you can understand with your rational mind, what you can see with your physical eyes, what you can predict based on your past experience. But there's so much more available to you than this. There's an entire universe of possibilities that you can't see, can't understand, can't predict. And when you trust this, when you open yourself to this, when you allow this, your life becomes an adventure rather than a burden. You start to see coincidences that are too perfect to be coincidences. You start to receive guidance in unexpected ways. You start to experience a sense of flow where things just work out, where doors open at exactly the right time, where you're in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people. This is what happens when you stop trying to control everything and start trusting the process. But again, this is dangerous. This goes against everything most people believe. Most people believe you have to figure everything out yourself. You have to have a detailed plan. You have to know exactly how you're going to get from where you are to where you want to be. And there's nothing wrong with planning. There's nothing wrong with setting goals. There's nothing wrong with taking action. But when you attach to specific outcomes, when you insist that things have to happen in a particular way, when you close yourself off from any path except the one you've mapped out, you limit yourself tremendously. When you see what others don't, you hold your goals and intentions lightly. You're clear about what you want, but you're not attached to how it has to happen. You're open to surprises. You're open to detours. You're open to something even better than what you imagined. You understand that the universe might have a plan that's more magnificent than anything you could conceive. This requires tremendous trust. This requires faith. This requires a willingness to be vulnerable, to not know, to be okay with uncertainty. And most people aren't comfortable with this. Most people need guarantees. Most people need security. Most people need to know that everything is going to work out exactly the way they want it to. But life doesn't offer these guarantees. Life is uncertain. The future is unknown. Anything can happen at any moment. And when you see what others don't, you're not frightened by this. You're exhilarated by it. You understand that this uncertainty is where your creative power lives. You understand that every moment is a new beginning, a fresh start, an opportunity to choose again. You understand that your past doesn't have to determine your future. You understand that who you were yesterday doesn't have to be who you are today. You understand that you can change direction at any time. You can make new choices. You can create new patterns. You can become someone entirely different. There's nothing stopping you except your own beliefs about what's possible. And this brings us back to the danger. The danger of seeing what others don't is that once you see it, you can never look away. Once you understand your creative power, you can never claim to be a victim again. Once you realize that your thoughts create your reality, you can never blame your circumstances again. Once you recognize that you're not separate from the divine intelligence that creates everything, you can never feel alone or abandoned again. You have to take responsibility. You have to own your power. You have to step into your role as the creator of your experience. And this is scary for most people. It's much easier to blame others, to make excuses, to claim that life is unfair, to insist that you're limited by factors beyond your control. It's much easier to stay small, to play it safe, to conform to what everyone expects of you. But you're not most people. If you're hearing this message, if these words resonate with you, if something inside of you is saying yes, then you're one of the ones who sees. You're one of the ones who knows. You're one of the ones who's ready to step into their power and live the life they came here to live. And yes, it's dangerous. Yes, it's challenging. Yes, there will be people who don't understand. Yes, there will be criticism. Yes, there will be obstacles. Yes, there will be moments of doubt. But there will also be moments of pure joy. There will be moments of profound peace. There will be moments of deep connection. There will be moments when you know without a shadow of a doubt that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. These moments make everything worthwhile. These moments remind you why you chose this path. These moments reconnect you with your purpose. And the more you commit to this way of living, the more of these moments you experience. The more you trust in your inner guidance, the clearer that guidance becomes. The more you align with your highest self, the more naturally your life flows. The more you let go of control and surrender to the intelligence that animates all of life, the more magic you experience. This is what's available to you. This is what's waiting for you. This is the life that's calling you. But you have to be willing to see what others don't. You have to be willing to believe what others can't believe. You have to be willing to stand in your truth even when you're standing alone. You have to be willing to be different. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to disappoint people who expect you to stay the same. You have to be willing to outgrow relationships that no longer serve you. You have to be willing to leave behind the familiar and step into the unknown. You have to be willing to fail, to make mistakes, to look foolish, to fall flat on your face. Because that's part of the process. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. That's how you become who you're meant to be. There's no growth in comfort. There's no transformation in safety. There's no evolution in stagnation. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to try things you've never tried before. And here's what happens when you do. You start to build a different kind of confidence. Not the ego-based confidence that comes from external validation and achievement, but the soul-based confidence that comes from knowing who you really are. Not the fragile confidence that crumbles when things don't go your way, but the unshakable confidence that remains steady regardless of circumstances. This confidence doesn't come from getting everything right. It comes from being willing to be wrong. It doesn't come from never failing. It comes from getting back up every time you fall. It doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from accepting yourself exactly as you are while still striving to grow and evolve. When you see what others don't, you understand that perfection is not the goal. The goal is not to become someone different. The goal is to become more fully yourself. The goal is to strip away all the layers of conditioning, all the false beliefs, all the limiting patterns, all the masks you wear, and reveal the truth of who you really are underneath all of that. And who are you really? You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are consciousness itself taking form. You are love expressing itself in a unique way. You are creativity embodied. You are potential unlimited. You are possibility infinite. But most people never realize this about themselves. They live their entire lives believing they're limited, believing they're separate, believing they're small and insignificant and powerless. They never wake up to the magnificent truth of their own being. They never claim their birthright. They never step into their power. Don't let this be you. Don't waste your one precious life playing small. Don't spend your years conforming to other people's expectations. Don't sacrifice your dreams on the altar of approval. Don't trade your authenticity for acceptance. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Be willing to shine. Be willing to stand out. Be willing to be different. Be willing to see what others don't, because that's your gift. That's your purpose. That's your calling. The world needs you to be fully you. The world needs your unique perspective. The world needs your particular gifts. The world needs the contribution that only you can make. But you can't make that contribution if you're pretending to be someone else. You can't share your gifts if you're hiding them to fit in. You can't fulfill your purpose if you're living according to someone else's agenda. You have to be willing to be yourself, completely and unapologetically. And when you do, when you finally give yourself permission to be who you really are, something miraculous happens. You stop exhausting yourself trying to be what everyone expects. You stop contorting yourself to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. You stop pretending and performing and people-pleasing, and you start living, really living, authentically living, joyfully living. This is freedom. This is peace. This is what you've been searching for all along, not in achievement, not in acquisition, not in approval, but in authenticity, in alignment, in acceptance of who you really are. The danger of seeing what others don't is that it requires you to live from this place of authenticity. It requires you to be real. It requires you to be true to yourself no matter what. And yes, that's dangerous. But the alternative, living a lie, betraying yourself, denying your truth, that's far more dangerous. That's a slow death. That's a life of quiet desperation. That's waking up one day when you're old and realizing you never really lived at all. Don't let that happen. Choose to wake up now. Choose to see. Choose to know. Choose to be. Choose to live from your highest self. Choose to follow your inner guidance. Choose to trust the process. Choose to surrender to the flow. Choose to believe in possibilities. Choose to create consciously. Choose to love without conditions. Choose to serve without expecting anything in return. This is the path of the awakened ones. This is the way of those who see what others don't. This is the life of those who are willing to be different, to stand apart, to follow their own truth. And it's the most rewarding life you could possibly live. It's the most fulfilling life you could possibly create. It's the most meaningful life you could possibly experience. So yes, it's dangerous. But it's a beautiful danger. It's the danger of being fully alive. It's the danger of living authentically. It's the danger of fulfilling your purpose. It's the danger of becoming who you were meant to be all along. Take the risk. See what others don't. Know what others don't know. Be what others are afraid to be. Your soul will thank you. Your life will transform. And the world will be better for it, because when you shine your light, you give others permission to shine theirs. When you live your truth, you inspire others to live theirs. When you step into your power, you show others what's possible. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your opportunity. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. Don't let fear hold you back. Step forward. Trust yourself. Trust the universe. Trust the process. And watch as your life unfolds in ways more beautiful than you ever imagined. Possible. You know what's interesting about people who see what others don't? They stop needing validation from the external world. They stop checking their worth against other people's opinions. They stop measuring their success by society's standards. They develop an internal compass that guides them more reliably than any external metric ever could. This internal guidance system becomes their North Star, and once they learn to trust it, they become unstoppable. Most people spend their entire lives seeking approval. They make decisions based on what will make others happy. They choose careers that impress people rather than fulfill them. They maintain relationships that drain them because they're afraid of being alone. They buy things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. They're running on a hamster wheel of external validation, and no matter how fast they run, they never feel satisfied, because satisfaction can never come from outside of you. It can only come from within. When you see what others don't, you break free from this trap. You realize that seeking approval is a game you can never win. There will always be someone who disapproves. There will always be someone who judges you. There will always be someone who thinks you should be doing something different. And if you spend your life trying to please all these people, you'll end up pleasing no one, especially not yourself. The freedom that comes from releasing the need for approval is extraordinary. Suddenly you have all this energy that you were spending on managing other people's perceptions. Suddenly you can make decisions quickly because you're not weighing them against what everyone else might think. Suddenly you can pursue what genuinely interests you rather than what looks good on paper. This is when your real life begins. But let me tell you about another aspect of seeing what others don't. It changes your relationship with time. Most people are either living in the past or worried about the future. They're carrying around regrets about things they did or didn't do. They're replaying old conversations in their minds, wishing they had said something different. Or they're anxious about what might happen tomorrow, next week, next year. They're so caught up in yesterday or tomorrow that they completely miss today. When you awaken to a different way of seeing, you understand that this moment is all you ever have. The past is gone. It's finished. You can't change it no matter how much you think about it. The future hasn't happened yet. It's just a concept in your mind. All you have is right now, this very moment. And when you bring your full awareness to this moment, when you're fully present, right here, right now, something shifts. Life becomes richer. Colors seem brighter. Sounds are more vivid. Experiences are more intense. People who live in the now have access to a quality of aliveness that others miss completely. They taste their food. They feel the breeze on their skin. They really listen when someone talks to them. They notice the beauty that's everywhere all the time. They don't need extraordinary circumstances to feel joy because they find joy in ordinary moments. This present moment awareness also gives you access to intuition. Your intuition speaks to you in the present moment, not in your analysis of the past or your projections about the future. When you're fully here, you can hear that quiet inner voice that knows things your rational mind doesn't know. You can feel the subtle guidance that points you in the right direction. You can sense opportunities before they fully materialize. Most people miss all of this because they're too busy thinking. They're trapped in their heads, lost in mental chatter, completely disconnected from the present moment. And then they wonder why life feels so difficult, why they feel so anxious, why they can't seem to find peace. The answer is simple. Peace exists only in the present moment. You can't find it yesterday. You can't find it tomorrow. You can only find it now. Another thing that happens when you see what others don't is that you stop fearing death. Most people live their entire lives in the shadow of death. They're terrified of it. They don't want to think about it. They avoid any reminder that their time here is limited. And this fear of death prevents them from really living. They play it safe because they're afraid of losing what they have. They avoid risks because they want to preserve their security. They hold back from love because they're afraid of loss. But when you understand the nature of consciousness, when you realize that you are not your body, when you see that you are the eternal awareness in which all experiences appear, death loses its power over you. You understand that what you really are can never die. Your body will die, your personality will dissolve, your story will end. But the consciousness that you are, the awareness that's reading these words right now, that's eternal, that's infinite, that's beyond birth and death. This understanding frees you to live fully. You stop postponing your dreams. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You stop telling yourself you'll do it later. You realize that later might never come, that all you have is now, and you better make the most of it. You stop taking life so seriously. You laugh more. You play more. You love more openly. You express yourself more freely. You take risks that you would never take if you were clinging to the illusion of security. And here's something else. When you see what others don't, you understand the principle of cause and effect at a level most people never reach. You understand that everything you're experiencing right now is the effect of causes you set in motion previously. Your current circumstances are the harvest of seeds you planted in the past through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. And your future circumstances are being created right now by what you're thinking, believing, and doing today. This gives you tremendous power because it means you're never stuck. It means you can always change your trajectory by changing what you're doing right now. You don't have to wait for external circumstances to change. You don't have to wait for someone to save you. You don't have to wait for permission or approval or the right conditions. You can start right now, right where you are, with what you have. Most people don't understand this. They're waiting for something outside of them to change before they can be happy, before they can pursue their dreams, before they can be who they want to be. They're giving away all their power to circumstances, to other people, to timing. But when you see what others don't, you take back that power. you realize that you're the one who decides. You're the one who chooses. You're the one who creates. The final thing I want to share with you about seeing what others don't is this: it makes you profoundly grateful. When you understand how miraculous existence is, when you realize the extraordinary intelligence that's orchestrating everything, when you see the perfection in what appears to be imperfection, you can't help but feel grateful. Grateful for your breath, grateful for your heartbeat, grateful for your awareness, grateful for this moment, grateful for this life. Gratitude is the master key to happiness. When you're genuinely grateful, you can't be unhappy. When you're appreciating what you have, you can't be focused on what you lack. When you're acknowledging the blessings that surround you, you can't be complaining about your problems. Gratitude shifts your entire perspective. It opens your heart. It raises your vibration. It attracts more things to be grateful for. So yes, seeing what others don't is dangerous, but it's also the greatest gift you can give yourself. It's the key to freedom. It's the path to peace. It's the way to fulfillment. And it's available to you right now. You don't have to wait. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to be worthy. You just have to be willing. Willing to see. Willing to know. Willing to be. The rest will unfold naturally.